Imagine this. You are a skilled engineer who fluent in Java, Golang, web, and cloud. You just joined an exciting project that can benefit millions of customers. You are full of ideas and you are ready to go. But very soon, you find yourself ran into a big and unfamiliar world, the complex world of banking. Suddenly you're facing the terms like credit hierarchies, risk profiles, and maybe hundreds of acronyms that you haven't heard before in the business requirements. And you start realize that you really need to understand those concepts before you can effectively design a solution and coding it. So in a typical commercial banking project, if someone can put down his work, spend an hour or two with you every day, I'm pretty sure you can get a basis and also the confidence within 2 to 3 months, which is a long period of time. And even so, it's quite common, you might find out at the end of the testing cycle that you have misunderstood some of the requirement at the beginning. So you have to restart again. Next, you found yourself spend a lot of time with testing. In fact, more than 50% of a project time are spent in the testing related activities. Other than unit tests, we have API tests, integration tests, functional tests, and multiple rounds of regression tests. Those are very important measurements for us because as a bank, we're dealing with real people's money and we have very little room for mistakes. We have to make sure the whole system and also the integrated system continue working as expected after your code change. But the idea of making those tests automated, which could really help us, often got pushed aside because of deadlines, other priorities, urgent work. So we really struggle to find time to invest our time in writing test automation scripts. So, helping engineers effectively and accurately understand complex banking requirements and enabling test automation with minimum cost become 2 key challenges in our delivery. So therefore, we have introduced a new team member. His name is InSail. It's our in-house innovative GenAI solution that equipped with ANZ banking knowledge as well as the engineering expertise. So running from our private VPC on AWS, InSail has been trained by hundreds, thousands of ANZ API specifications, system specifications. So you understand how the system can interact with each other via the API. And InSail can have also been trained and remember all the documents from our product, from our regulated requirement, from our previous build requirements. So together with all the skills with AI, InSail start helping our people. InSail helping our business analysts writing better and more accurate business requirement at the beginning. InSail then translate those business requirements into technical build specifications for the engineer. And InSail answer their questions along the way, explaining every build scenarios. So in the pilot project that adapting InSail, we are surprised to find out our API testing time has been dramatically cut by 72%, and our integration testing time has been reduced by 56%, which greatly accelerate our project delivery. So reflecting our journey so far, it's clear that our initial concept of InSail and our projection of GenAI have changed a lot, really thanks to our partners like HCL and AWS. I think their commitment and their passion in innovation and their willingness to invest together with ANZ in this exploratory journey has been pivotal. Selecting AWS as our GenAI provider for InSale wasn't a decision that we made lightly. You can imagine we tried a few different platforms, but AWS really stands out in a few very important measurements. First of all, AWS is one of our key strategic cloud providers. So based on the established governance framework and a strong technical foundation, we have access to all the necessary GenAI services and infrastructure just in a couple of minutes. Second is by compliance. A big part of our job in the bank is to talk to the regulators. Even InSale is not processing production customer data or production banking data. It's still very important for us to make sure our regulators are happy with what we do with GenAI and with cloud. So the strong security foundation, the mature documentation, and the easy access to their professional services team really help us with those conversations. On the other hand, we have a long history with HCL, and every time we work together, it's better than the last one. I still remember the first time I was reaching out to Sai from HCL to talk about what we want to do with GenAI, what we want to do with InSale. The response was immediate. So within a couple of days, we start meeting their talented engineer from their Vietnam campus. And at the same time, HCL start reaching out to AWS via their partnership, talk about what the bank wants to do with GenAI, our vision of InSale. And within 2 or 3 weeks, I remember, three of us are sitting in the same meeting and planning the attack plan going forward. GenAI is new to everyone, especially for highly regulated industry like banking. So to land a GenAI solution in a production capacity, it was really a journey inside ANZ. We have daily involvement with our architecture team, our risk team, our legal, of course security, data governance. So together, we build and design the solution from day one. So our path has been marked by iterative try, fail, adapt, and try it again. Together, we have explored more than 6 large language models on the SageMaker platform. So through multiple rounds of fine-tuning, data preparation, prompt engineering, we have managed to dramatically uplift the accuracy of our LLM. And also, we dramatically reduce the fine-tuning cost by more than 80%. Together, piece by piece, we have assembled an MVP solution that received the trust and confidence from different stakeholders and received the endorsement to hit the production not long ago. So reflecting our journey, we have learned a lot, and we're still learning. But there are 3 things I would like to share with you today. First, which LLM to use? It's really not about finding the latest, the biggest, or the most complex model out there. It's about finding the model that fits your use case very well. So I suggest you invest time, shortlist the models, search about Hugging Face, and try to understand those models' strengths, the winners, and whether you can charge them, of course, and the cost. Second, I would suggest you don't leave the security to the last minute. In the excitement of innovation, it's tempting to leave the tough discussion to the later stage, especially you, maybe like me, you keep telling yourself that I'm just doing a POC. But from our learning, I think it's important to bring the experts of security and risk, engage them earlier in the stage so they can help you understand the overall GenAI risk, LLM risk, and they can help you to prepare for them. It will not only save you time at a later stage, but they will give you a very clear picture of when and how you can hit the production. Lastly, I think it's important to acknowledge that LLMs is an advanced technology that changes rapidly, right? So the technology landscape changes as we speak now. Designing and building a perfect solution in one attempt is not realistic. So I would suggest you focus on building a strong GenAI application framework and foundation which allow your team move fast and safely as the new services and new model become available. Just like today, the announcement of Bedrock, I really look forward to try that. I'm pretty sure it will continue to lower our LLM costs, operation costs, and also allow to try more models for more use cases. So for ANZ, reducing our testing costs, accelerate our test automation, helping business team and engineering team collaborate are just the beginning of our GenAI journey. My backlog is already filling up, and I really much look forward to continue working with HCL and AWS on the exciting journey ahead. But before that happens, we're going to invite HCL and AWS to share a bit of their story on the stage.
Good job. Thank you, John. I'll let, thank you. Come sit.
Yeah, right.
Thanks, Rico, for a wonderful session. I have a few questions for three of you over here, and I'll see the time. We've got enough time in hand, so let's see that. We start with Rico. Interesting journey. How important it was for you to get the right stakeholders involved in this whole journey?
Yeah, I think imagine you are introducing something very new, right? This technology into a highly regulated environment. It really was a journey for the whole organization. So it's like a learning journey. So along the way, we're bringing more and more stakeholders together because they're going to help us understand the risk, understand their perspective. I think it's very important for engage all the necessary people to help us, help the organization understand how we can accelerate and benefit customer while still maintain the protection of the brand. So it's very important to bring everybody along.
And how has the perception changed once this went successful?
That's interesting. I think there are two parts. First of all, from the survey from employee, I feel like it'd be like change from a question mark to a smiley face now. Because people are looking at, normally we have, when there's new technology come into the market, it will take about a couple of years before it land in the bank. But this time, by the support of our CTO, CIOs, we actually cut through this in a very short period of time. So they start seeing AI happening in their workspace. So it's no longer a question mark of when or how, is they see, wow, this has already happened and how I can use it. I receive a lot of ideas since we launched it, say, this is amazing, I would like to, I like this function as well, can I do this? I think it lined up a lot of this innovation idea. And the second aspect I think is if you look at GenAI as a whole topic in the bank, it can be a very complex problem. And this use case, we go live, we actually provide a reference point for different use cases to look at how you can introduce AI in a controlled and secure manner and become a reference architecture for a lot of use cases that we can build upon. So from that perspective, I think is the band have now more acceptance to the new technology in that way.
Thank you. Moving on to Jamie. How important is tech simplification or a clear data strategy for organizations to understand for a GenAI acceleration?
Oh, it's incredibly important. I think this is where a lot of the conversation sort of evolved over the course of the last 18 months as generative AI has become more and more part of a core business strategy. We started very excited about the use cases, and a lot of that was pushed top down as our executives and boards saw the potential for this technology and started to drive that thinking and sort of asking questions of the team on how they're deploying it. And that drove a lot of activity in the early days, and very quickly a lot of that focus, whilst that's still important, has pivoted to saying, do we have our underlying infrastructure and data in a quality and in a space that we can leverage and use it in order to be able to get the most value out of these tools and these models. And I think a big part of the reason for that is there are very few organisations that have the resources or the data assets in order to be able to build their own models and use those in a really meaningful way. And so we're all accessing the same kind of models through Bedrock and other kind of providers. And unless you've got your data in a space and in a way that you can use it to train those models and customize them to your environment, there's very little differentiation and competitive differentiation you're going to be able to drive for your business, because it's all building on the same capability. So that question around having your own data assets in a really strong and a modernized way in the cloud, accessible and structured, helps you to differentiate in the way that you're using the models, but it also helps you control the use of the models as well. So when we talk about simplification and data modernization, we're not just talking about the tech, we're also talking about the governance and the controls and the process you put around it. And having all of that in good, healthy order is really important to driving these use cases to production and doing so at scale.
Sure, thanks. Prabhakar, I heard the Rico saying that they are looking onto more use cases and there would be like more work to come. And recently we have heard that we have announced a HCLTech and AWS GenAI partnership. Would you like to throw some lights about it and how we can help Rico again?
Absolutely. I mean, thank you, Rico. Great session. Thank you, Jamie. I mean, they have been partners in crime, right? So that's why I would put it. If you look at from an AWS perspective, they talk about 3-in-a-box model, right? So you have partner system integrator like us, and there is a partner like AWS, and there is a client who is going to adopt such cases, right? So from a partnership perspective, I think from a system integration perspective, it is very important how do we keep and train our people to build more such use cases and also empanel them in the market. That has been the core foundational element for us. And as part of that, we have recently announced from an HCLTech, we are going to empower 50,000 of our field force on AWS GenAI competency, which we are fastly progressing on that aspect. The reason being, it's about investments in our own skill set and capacity, which is what we strongly believe in. And that's why we made a bold market announcement on that subject. Now, to back that up, we have also signed a strategic collaboration agreement on GenAI with AWS, which talks about a clear milestone-oriented partnership with AWS and HCLTech. So as part of that milestone, what we also do is to enable clients like ANZ, Rico, and Jamie with more power in terms of building that. So what happens as part of that strategic collaboration agreement is you can build use cases, you can develop those use cases, you can pool in the technology talent, you can bring in the right resources to enable that to happen. So there is a strategic collaboration agreement which we have signed. Now you have done the step 1, the step 2, and the step 3 is, okay, does HCLTech has the competency? So there is an external audit. What AWS does is, okay, we are happy at HCLTech, but do you have the competency? Can you build that? Is there a capability around that? So that's where the competency comes in picture. So we have cleared the GenAI competency audit as well. So we are one of the partner in terms of having that capability to demonstrate and build such use cases. I mean, it is quite important to a couple of points what Rico and Jamie said, right? It's very important. It's not only about adopting the GenAI as a technology and we supporting as a system integrator. It also keeping an organizational ambition and the intent, because many of the times we have done in the last 12 plus months, I think we would have done 50 plus POCs. And if you ask me how many has been productionized, hardly on the fingertips, few.
Yep.
So it takes a bold decision, bold conversations internally as well, and the change management and the governance in the organization. So all this comes into place to play a pivotal role. So from that point, I think we are, we are happy to support and to build more such use cases and productionize.
So yeah, Rico has a list. He will give it to you.
I'll send that to you tonight.
All right. Another question to you, Rico. Prabhakar just mentioned about moving on to production, right? And we talked about it, and you said that it has been already in production now, not long ago. How easy that decision was?
Is decision, or you mean the journey?
The whole journey.
The whole journey is not easy to be honest, because it's not about shipping an existing well-known technology into production. It's a learning journey for multiple parts, inside, outside, together with the partnership. So our regulators also have a lot of questions. Our different countries' regulators have different questions, and our risk, we're looking at this very carefully. So, and this is the first case we put this into production. The first AI case in the ANZ. We are sort of the first guy trying to push different boundaries and helping bring different people along to understand. So there's a lot of education and learn together element in this journey. So it's not easy the first time, but I start feeling this is open. We have already opened a door, so the next door will be easier, and very soon, maybe there's not too many doors. So the next use case that we want to build definitely will be reference to what we have, and then bring the existing learning from different journey, the control points, etc., into this. So next one will be easier.
Sure, thanks. Question coming to you, Jamie. So we heard this as a pilot started. Prabhakar was also talking about a lot of POCs, people are identifying different use cases they're identifying and all. When you are interacting with your customers in your sector, do you see customers getting excited to do a big bang approach, or they still are thinking that whether it'll be a MVP based or a POC based kind of approach?
It's definitely more the latter. We're definitely seeing more experimentation by looking at smaller POCs and smaller use cases to experiment and learn and build confidence in their ability to be able to execute with these technologies, as well as building confidence in the technology itself. Hallucinations are still a real part of Gen AI models. We certainly haven't got that fully solved for yet, and there's also ethical rights and uses, and managing the outputs in a way that you're comfortable and it fits within your risk appetite as an organisation. All of these things still need to get worked through and understood. So most organisations have their eye on the prize of a big bang outcome, but they're approaching it in a much more steady way through experimentation and building capability like ANZ has done, and then building upon that over a period of time. There are some exceptions, and we saw this morning in the keynote what Leonardo AI have achieved, what Canva's achieved. They're very different kind of organisations, and use cases they've got are quite different, and they allow them to be able to go far more big bang in how they're productionising that capability to take their product to market, which is a slightly different context, and I think there's tremendous kind of big bang opportunities there. But particularly regulated entities within financial services, the approach needs to be more measured, and it needs to, moving from that experimentation, which is relatively easy and low risk, to, putting these models under the strain of a full production environment where you're running a whole bunch more queries at it, and the inference needs to be able to support performance at a different level to deliver on the customer experience. And you've also got to make sure you've got the security controls in place. All these things are, they're big things to think about. And so, building that capability in a measured way, just like we did with cloud when we first started working with cloud, 10, 15 years ago. It's not dissimilar in terms of the approach we took back then to the way that we're seeing a lot of customers look at adopting these new capabilities.
Sure, thank you. So, I would like to summarize while we still have time left, but I would like to summarize the whole discussion. Thanks, Rico, for enlightening us in terms of the journey which you have taken, and thanks for choosing us as a partner and AWS in that journey. What I heard from you is that identifying a use case is important, and identifying that impact that use case can create, and then getting the right stakeholders involved, and of course, wherever required for a MVP or a POC, for funding is required, then partner like HCLTech and AWS to be involved as well. And I believe this is something which is a journey which everybody wants to take. And caution is the right word from a financial services perspective. Go to the MVP part and then explore from there. So you are in a journey on SDLC, and we believe that there will be more for us to work around over there. Thank you everyone for listening to us. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Good. Sorry, I've come up the wrong. Thank you, Rico, Ashutosh, Jamie, and Prabhakar for your insights. If you'd like to speak to them more about that conversation, please join them over at the HCLTech booth on G4. But a friendly reminder, open up your apps and provide some awesome feedback for the session that you just listened to today. Thank you, Ashutosh. Up next.